All right, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're talking about Mexico. We have our Mexico retreat. I'm Ashley. I'm the founder of Traverse Journeys, which I'll tell you a little bit about us in a moment. And we have Lee here, who is our Pilates instructor for our upcoming retreat in October. Lee, I'll let you say a little hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. Love the retreat. Excited to talk about it.
Awesome. So Lee was with us last year leading a retreat. So this will be her second one with us. So just a little bit about Traverse. So we're really about impactful, transformative travel, people, planet, purpose. We really value human-to-human experiences, getting to know the local culture, having a positive impact on the planet, like leaving no trace, choosing measures of sustainability throughout our travels, and traveling with meaning, like having impact on local communities, keeping those dollars and money in those local communities, and a transformative experience for you. So, as you know, we're talking about Mexico today, which of course is a huge neighbor to us down south from the US. And you can see kind of an overview of Mexico here and where we are in the state of Guanajuato. So just a few kind of quick facts for you. Of course, you may know Mexico City, DF, population of 128 million, which is quite, large country. And most of us are familiar with Spanish-speaking, Mexico being Spanish-speaking. However, there's many, many indigenous and local and regional languages. It's primarily Roman Catholic. You'll see that in a lot of like rituals and events and holidays, as well as like churches and buildings. And the Mexican peso is used. So we talk a lot in our trips about, culture and values. Something that you'll really find in Mexico is that like community and relationships are very, very important. It's what we call a collectivist culture, like thinking of like the we. You'll see a lot that has to do with like traditions, especially as related to religion. Like you can see this picture here. This is an ofrenda, and it kind of combines some pieces of like Catholic, but also very ancient like traditions, religious traditions. This is during Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. We lovingly call one of the culture pieces of Mexico that you might encounter called Mañana syndrome, like kind of like, tomorrow, like there's not a rush, it's more really about those relationships. So, there's so much ancient history when it comes to Mexico. You've got like Aztec in more in like the north and Mayan and more the south central going into Central America, and of course, like Inca culture in South America. So those are some interesting pieces as you begin to learn about like, us being in North America, also the influence even farther above like the border in Mexico. So you'll see pieces of that throughout when we are in San Miguel de Allende. So history, I mean, like 10,000 plus years of history, as I mentioned, like many different ancient civilizations that very much still impact society today. So you'll see many different relics from the past, but also like in modern day traditions and rituals. Of course, we know, like the Spanish encountered the new land in the 16th century. One of the things that you'll maybe find kind of cool in our itinerary and the region that you're going to be in, nearby San Miguel de Allende is a town called Dolores Hidalgo. And that's where the Grito de Dolores, which is like the cry for freedom and independence, was announced in 1810, and eventually like 1821 is when they gained independence. So there's quite a lot of history in the region that we're traveling in this part of Mexico. So you can see like what kind of so we start the retreat itself is in San Miguel de Allende, which you can see here on the map. It's in the state of Guanajuato, and there's also a city called Guanajuato, which you can see. And then the town that I was just mentioning, Dolores Hidalgo, where there's the Grito de Dolores, is a very historic town. And then León, which you can see to the west here, is where the airport is. So just to give you kind of a little, visual of what's in the surrounding area. We have a little add-on if you're interested in doing an extra day that's visiting a couple of wineries and also Dolores Hidalgo. Guanajuato is also an add-on day trip during the trip because you'll find that between the three towns, San Miguel, Guanajuato, and Dolores Hidalgo, they're very different. They have different architecture, kind of a different vibe to them. So it's really worth seeing all three of them. So here's San Miguel, which we just love. It's super colorful. People love just like wandering the streets. It's got a lot of that historic architectural influence, not just from Spain, but from other parts of like Europe. Very, very colorful. People love going to the local market. There's street murals all over the place. It's very artsy, lots of galleries, paintings, sculptures. You can have lunch or dinner in like nice cafes and restaurants. The parroquia is like the, I forget what it's even called in English, but it's part of like the church, and it has really interesting Spanish architecture. So definitely something worth seeing. And then for our retreat, kind of the style, you know, it's meant to be an active retreat. Like you get relaxing and exploring time. Of course, if you choose to opt out of like the Pilates or for the other retreats, yoga, you certainly can, although it's available to you. We also have a culinary focus on this particular retreat because, you know, I mean, Mexican food, how can you not? Like, it's really, really awesome to see how things are made. We visit the markets, we do a cooking class, you'll learn how to make tamales. And within all of that, we learn about sustainable agriculture in the region. So we'll talk about in more depth when we go to a farm and why it's so important, not just in that region, but even just like for Mexico as a whole. I mentioned an optional day trip to Guanajuato. Some people like to go explore, other people like to just hang back and chill in San Miguel. And then on our closing day, we visit some swimming caves, and then we have a winery tour. So let's dive in a little bit deeper. So these are our accommodations. We stay at a gorgeous posada that's locally owned. The owners, the couple, Rosana, are amazing. They like really love welcoming you. And part of how they wanted to design this space is to feel like you're at home. Lee, you've been here because you had our last retreat. You want to just make a couple comments on the accommodations?
It's magical. It is such a magical, it's like being in a museum, yet really cozy and warm. I mean, there's art and wonderful artifacts everywhere. And I don't really know what was better, just the visuals and the warm and gracious experience of being there, or the food, because the food is so good. And
It
so
really is.
it's just a magical place. And they've been building it, the couple, for 25 years, adding and remodeling and changing it. And it feels like a home, and it feels like a home that they open up to all their guests. It's just a very, very special place.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we get to have Pilates with Lee. So this is kind of like what it looks like when you're on the terrace. Lee, will you tell us a little bit about Pilates and what you offer? And before, actually, real quick, before you dive in, so this retreat, we do both. Sometimes it's as a yoga retreat, and then other times with Lee, because her specialty is Pilates, we do it as a Pilates retreat. So you want to tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so every day we schedule a morning and an evening program. And normally in the morning we'll do Pilates, get a nice practice under our belts before we head out into the day. And it's optional. I mean, most people join us. Sometimes people are a little tired from their excursions the day before. But my background is I've been in the movement industry, former ballet dancer, into Pilates. I'm an athlete. I do a lot of different training, and I've been working in my own business for the last 20 plus years. But we stick with the mornings is a pretty structured Pilates practice with lots of stretching and breathing. In the evenings, it sort of depends. I also do a lot of breath work and stretch release work and what we call brain mapping, brain training drills, which are really calming for the nervous system. That's been a real hit too with both my private clients and the folks on the retreat. So we sort of take the evening based on what people need to wind down their busy days on the retreat. So I love the work. I love adding it. I think people really enjoy having a good mat practice before they again head out into exploring the days. And I will just say, and I know Ashley will keep going with this, but Traverse is just designs and plans a super magical trip. So I'll let her take over, but it's the journey is so exciting, and it's always great to have some movement before you get started. So yeah, that's what I'll say now.
Thanks, Lee. Yeah, well, we love involving, like active pieces that involve both culture and getting to move your body, because that's part of the experience. And one of the other things is that this is Rosana on the left here. And she's just really magical at creating space and community, because it's also designed to be a place people come to retreats for so many reasons. It could be to explore, it could be because something's going on in their life and they want to kind of go inward and process that. And so Rosana is there to locally, help also. And really you can feel the space of where you are in Mexico, because we really want to be grounded with the culture and with the space that we're in as well. So okay, so the food, as we both mentioned, is absolutely phenomenal. So we really focus on seasonal and local fare. So for the upcoming trip that we're talking about now in October, it'll be kind of harvest season, and lots of chile and spices and herbs. As you may know, in the southern part of North America, Mexico is very ancient, or Mexico corn is what I meant to say, is very ancient. And very important in Mexican society. And so you'll learn a lot about corn and maize. You'll learn to make fresh masa tortillas and tamales. We have a workshop for that. Very easy for us to accommodate all kinds of diets, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian. There's lots of great options for anyone who's not eating animal-based meats. There's chickpeas and lentils. Also quite easy to do gluten-free because there's so much great corn. Amaranth is another grain that is indigenous to the region and is very high in protein. And of course, we have potatoes if you need more starch. Just going on here. So with the local agriculture, so our community partner is called Via Organica, and they're a regenerative organic farm, and they really focus on local seed saving and also involving the community. They have a program with juveniles to get them into farming and preserving a lot of these traditions and varieties. Some of the things that really grow in this region are, of course, corn, as we were talking about, the many different varieties. Amaranth is another. One thing that's really interesting that you might learn, but in ancient Mayan, Aztec, American agriculture, there was what they called the Holy Trinity, which is beans, squash, and corn. And the three of them together provide a complete protein for the body. So in terms of the essential nutrients that we need and amino acids, but also they grow well together because they complement each other. They give nitrogen to the soil, and the three of them can grow together in such a way that it actually produces more crops. Unlike kind of modern day monoculture, when you have one crop per field, these three have grown together in an ancient way, in a way that really supports the earth. So you'll learn about that as well. And it's kind of cool to see. Here's some more pictures of Via Organica. You'll also learn about medicinal importance of all of these foods. If you're really into botanical things, there's a really nice botanical garden in San Miguel also. It's just a little 10-minute walk away from our posada, and you can learn more about indigenous plants if that's something that interests you. You'll learn a lot about the impact on the local economy. In San Miguel, a lot of the restaurants are supplied with vegetables from this farm. So, and a growing importance too with ecotourism. So you might, in other regions of Mexico, for example, agave, which is used for making tequila or mezcal, that's another region where traditional practices are being preserved. So you learn a lot about kind of the bigger impact, not just in San Miguel and Guanajuato, but in Mexico, as a region. And then we take a cooking class. So you'll get to visit the market, learn about the different ingredients. It's very hands-on. You'll be chopping things. You'll have a feast at home. You'll have recipes. Lee, do you want to comment on the cooking class experience or any of the cooking?
Yeah, the cooking class, I'm not a great cook, so I was a little nervous about it, to be honest. But they designed the whole thing. It looks a lot like this, but even better. The colors are so vibrant. The food is so fresh, and the entire group of folks who come in and help with the cooking and the teaching, they're so patient. It's great community building. It's about 2 to 3 days into the retreat. So we've all gotten to know each other a little bit and truly sharing this time at the table and in the kitchen, preparing this great meal prior to eating it was probably one of the highlights for me personally. Chopping and preparing and watching and listening to him as he added the spices, the chef who helped us, who came in to prepare the actual rest of the meal, and it was just wonderful. It was great, and every meal. In fact, one of my clients looked at me during the some of the meals and said, "I can't believe how much you're eating. I've never seen you eat this much." I just couldn't. It was so good, and it was so fresh, and always felt so good after eating it. But this was a real special highlight. A lot of laughter, a lot of smiles, just like this, and beautiful, beautiful, rich colors and great food. So all the food was truly remarkable. It just kept improving as we went, and so gracious. All of the team, the staff there, so incredibly gracious with their time with us. Yeah, can't speak enough about it. Really,
Amazing. Yeah, and there might be margaritas involved when you're cooking, so.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another thing that we do, and Lee, I can't actually remember if we were doing this because we've added this on since, and we've
We
done this
did.
retreat so many times. So yeah, so tamale making. So it's
Did.
really yeah, okay, cool. It's a very traditional practice. The thing is with another thing that you'll learn more about, but with maize and with corn, like the ancient way of treating the corn is with lime, not limes as in like limestone. The like element or mineral, and that makes the corn bioavailable to the body. So there's like really ancient practices when it comes to how to prepare corn and like masa and like the dough that gets made. And so you get to learn all about that and then try your hand at it and see how tamales are made in this part of Mexico with corn husks, and other parts of like southern Mexico, Central America, South America, often made with banana leaves. Get to learn about that and have another feast. So you have a feast pretty much every day. And then, some fun finale for all of this is like going for a swim in some of the caves nearby. There's some really cool, unique little spots. So, for as much food as you're eating, you're also nice and active. So you don't have to feel guilty.
Right.
And it's very healthful, like very fresh and healthful food. So the optional pieces that I was telling you about, because it's a 6-day, 5-night trip, so it flies pretty fast. One of the days we go to Guanajuato. It's optional. It's an add-on because some people we found like to stay back and relax in San Miguel. Maybe they want to go to an art gallery, but others want to get out and explore. If you're familiar with Diego Rivera, the muralist, he was born here, and so there's a little museum dedicated to him, which is highly encouraged to go visit. There's also like a spot where you can go see like really beautiful city views. There's a market for those who are interested in maybe unique museums. It's called the Mummy Museum, and it is exactly what it sounds like. The streets of Guanajuato are really cool. They're these like cobblestone streets, whereas like San Miguel is a very grid in the central city. Like Guanajuato is not. It's kind of like meanders, you'll see a lot of old, really interesting architecture. And then one of the other add-ons that we have during the retreat, we have 2 different wine options that you go to different places. So you can do both. The half-day wine tour, we go to a wonderful like organic winery called Dos Pujos, which is like owls. And you'll learn about the property and wines, like history in the region, because you might not always think like automatically, oh, Mexican wines, and taste a couple of wines. The couple that like leads this tour is super knowledgeable. Lee went on this. Do you want to just comment a little?
Yeah, it was beautiful, and it was really nice. It was a nice a nice intersection with relaxation and still learning, because a lot of the trip we're exploring and we're going out, we're doing a lot of things and a lot of walking. And this was a little quieter. We sat, we had these great wines. They are incredibly knowledgeable. We got to get a tour of the winery, which is gorgeous and very expansive because the landscape is so beautiful and so peaceful. And you see those chocolates. Those are some cheese and chocolates, which I believe they make there, or they certainly get them locally. So the chocolate was, I could hardly keep my hands off it. It was so good. And the chocolates and the cheeses, of course, are designed to enhance the flavors of the wines that we're tasting. It was just a very lovely, lovely activity. And again, very relaxing after a few busy days of lots of different types of exploring. So really well balanced in the middle of the week. Yeah, I enjoyed it so much. Yeah,
Awesome.
sitting on the veranda and drinking and you know, listening to the history of the winery, and I mean both their location and all the things that have gone on before them, and then how they make the wine. So it was really very cool.
Awesome. And then if you have a little extra time, we also have a full day Dolores Hidalgo and Winery add-on. It's with the same couple leading it. So this takes place on the departure day. So like if you have time to spend one more night, then you can add this on. It's super fun. We get to go to Dolores Hidalgo, which is also very famous for its ice cream. So you have to try that for sure. And then we visit 2 other wineries, different ones from the half-day visit. And same thing, you'll really get to know some like local gems and explore more deeply in the region. So if you have the time, it's very much worth it. So just a few travel tips. So we have 2 trips coming up. We have one in October, which is the one with Lee, and then we have one in March next year, which is with another with a yoga instructor named Michelle. So we kind of like these shoulder seasons, you know, where it's still not too hot, but you know, because it's in the mountains. Guanajuato and San Miguel is higher up in elevation, so it can get a little cooler at night. Not cold, but it can cool off at night. So layers are always a really good thing for clothing. You know, with this part of Mexico, I mean, people are sometimes surprised that clothing-wise, it is a little bit more conservative. Like you will see fewer people wearing shorts, for example, more likely to have like skirts or long pants or whatnot. But you know, of course, while you're in the Posada, you can wear whatever you want to for our Pilates and workouts and stuff like that. But the other thing is people kind of like to dress up a little bit, you know, like have their bright colors on or a pretty dress on. So we give you guys really good packing tips also. And yeah, and money, of course, like the Mexican peso, you'll have opportunities at ATMs to get money. It's good to have. You when you're starting out, you can have like some US dollars on hand for like little tips, but we always typically encourage, you know, local currency. Safety wise, like this part of Mexico is quite safe. You know, Mexico is very regional with its safety. San Miguel, there are a lot of expats that live there. You know, we of course advise like normal precautions, like not walking out alone late at night, you know, do the buddy system, all of that. You know, watch your back, be careful with your valuables, kind of typical stuff. Are there any other tips, Lee, that you want to add?
Well, I think that was mainly what you said is, I think all the press that you hear about Mexico and, you know, we're all wondering, well, what's safe? Is this safe? That safe? And it was so safe there. And the couple who owned the property, Angelitos, Casa Angelitos, where we stay, were very knowledgeable about the region and about the history and how to travel. They'd love to talk and share where to go and maybe if there's any areas not to go. But really, mostly it was just, you know, not being sensible, not going out late at night by yourself, always having a friend or a buddy with you, letting people know where you're going. And other than that, I mean, it was just we felt very comfortable and really safe. But there's certainly a lot of of knowledge that the couple have. Again, that own the property, Rosa and her husband, and they can really give anyone more information about the area and the community at large. So we felt super comfortable. One of my clients was a little nervous about it going in, and once he got there, he realized how safe and how really comfortable it was. So all good there. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I
And,
do
oh
I
yeah.
just want to add really quickly that Traverse, led by Ashley, the organization, the streamline experience, every step of the way, so thought out. The packet you receive in terms of the detail of what to expect, what to wear, what to pack, it's all so thorough. The amount of time and effort Ashley and her team have put into all these trips, I was just so incredibly impressed, and everything is taken care of. Everything is thought about. So going in, you don't have to really, they'll plan it all, literally, which is the idea of a planned trip. But I can't speak highly enough for the organization. It was
Ah,
stellar.
thank you, Lee.
Very
Well,
true.
we
Very
very
true.
much appreciate that, and we want people to like be able to relax and enjoy the experience and not have to worry about logistics. Like leave that for us. So just a quick shout out. Thank you to some collaborators here for all the different photos that we've acquired over the years. So I'll open it up for questions here in just a second, but just so you can take advantage. So discounts, if you book by the 15th, can get you 100 off. We've got, as I said, the October trip with Lee coming up. And then if those dates don't work for you, we also have a yoga retreat coming up in March of next year. So a few more, well, Mexico was today, but more events coming up soon. We've got Guatemala and Morocco coming up in like later in June and July. So, all right. Any questions? You can feel free and either put your mic on if you want to talk your question, or you can pop it in the chat. Anyone has anything for us? No questions? Well, we'll go ahead and end it here then. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions at all, just shoot us an email. Happy to answer anything, and would love to have you guys along on the retreat.
Up to.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you, Ivy. Bye.
Thanks, Ashley. Talk soon.
You're welcome. Talk soon. Bye.